In this video, I will be pulling cards for my Q3 2025 Celtic Cross, as well as my anchor card for July. It feels so odd to be pulling cards for another quarter so soon. It feels like I just made my Q2 video, which I will link in the description. I think this one's probably going to be a bit more brief than that one was, just because I covered a lot of context in that video, and I probably won't repeat it in this video. I did a big intro in the Q2 video, so if you want to reference that, you can click the link in the description to that video, and it will be that context bit will be more at the front. But what I am going to do this time that is different is pull my anchor card for July. I did not do that in the Q2 video for April. What this is it's a practice I started in January of this year. At the beginning of every month, on the first day of every month, I pull a card, just a simple single keyword card from one of my oracle decks, and that word will sort of serve as an anchor for me for that month. It could be a meditation anchor or a journaling anchor, or just something to contemplate on a consistent basis. So for example, my word for June was create. Create was my word for June. And I do feel like I did a lot of that, more so behind the scenes, sort of, like the Two of Wands, kind of working on that creative force sort of internally, that internal processing bit. I think for June, for me, that's really where that came into play, was sort of that creating behind the scenes. So the deck I'm going to use to pull my anchor card for July is this one. This is the Soul Coaching Cards by Denise Lynn. This is the older version. This is a Hay House deck. This has been re-released, and the imagery is very different in the new version versus the old version, which has these backs and, sorry about the light, it's doing funky things, and has this more sort of simple, kind of almost sketch-like art. But these keywords are fantastic, and this has been one of my favorite oracle decks actually since I got it. But this version is out of print. It's very early 2000s. I think the new one is 2023, 24. It's fairly recent, and it has very modern, different imagery. But this imagery has always been very telling for me, and I just like it a lot. So this is the deck I'm going to be using. So what I will do, after I get these out of the way, is shuffle these up. Six times. If I have my blind open, the sun is just obnoxious. So I have it closed halfway, but that means we get the little dashies. So we got the little dash lights here. But hopefully it'll be all right. I will do this one more time. I am a 6-time shuffler. It's just kind of my thing. Okay. And then cutting the deck for me is where I just kind of take a minute. So I will start over here, grab, take the middle, take the left, then on the right. And then the card on top will be my anchor card for July. So we'll see what we get. Truth. Ooh, and there's a little bit of advice there. It says, I live my truth. Image of a figure looking in a mirror. This has kind of judgment energy for me. So yeah, this imagery is so simple, but it's, in my experience with this particular deck, it's been very poignant. So, okay, that is my anchor word for July. I often don't have too much thought about it right off the bat. It really reveals itself to me as the month goes on. So I'm actually just gonna put that there. and put this away. So that's my anchor card. I do that at the beginning of every month, but because this is the beginning of a new quarter and a new month, I decided to go ahead and do it and do the anchor card for this month in this video. For the Celtic Cross, what I will do is I'm going to insert a clip of a visual that I made in Canva of how I sort of modified and named the spreads, and I'll do a little voiceover explanation of that really quickly before I go in and do the actual spread. The deck I'm going to be using for this quarter's Celtic Cross is my Tarot of Oneness Mini by Robin Boyce. This deck is very meaningful for me for this time of year. I actually got it last year at about this time. And after my kitty passed away in August, I did a reading. It was the day after, I think. And she was included in that reading, sort of. There was a position for her that I dedicated kind of just for her. And it was such a beautiful reading. And it meant a lot to me. And so I decided I would bring this deck out for this quarter. So what I'll do now is insert that clip with that voiceover, and then I will come back to lay the cards out and do the spread.
So here is the visual that I created in Canva that outlines my modified Celtic Cross spread and what I named the positions. The reasoning for the change was I just did it to suit my needs. I wanted this reading to be a broad time-based reading rather than like a specific situational reading. And in a traditional Celtic Cross, those more traditional positions for me, for the purpose that I was hoping to use this, it just didn't quite fit for me. It didn't feel right. So I just renamed them and then added one. So card number 1, I call the essence, which is sort of like the overall feel. It could be the theme for the quarter, just kind of that overall big picture umbrella energy for the quarter. Card number 2, I call the challenge, which could be, somewhat positive or negative, depending on how it's framed. It could be, a challenge, or yes, a challenge, just depending on how it's the context of what's involved. So that's card number 2. That's often called the crossing card. Card number 3 on the bottom, I call the support card. So this is something in my life that might help me out a little bit during this quarter, just sort of that support piece, just a little kind of helping hand energy. Card number 4 on the left is the ebb card. So this is energy that is on its way out, but might still have a lingering influence, but it's moving out. Card number 5 is the reach card. And for me, this is a card that represents something to perhaps work toward or obtain. You could think of it like a goal or an objective. Card number 6 is the flow card. So it's like the opposite of the ebb card. It's energy that is moving in. So it's like the tide ebbs and flows. It's kind of the same for the energy for me for this spread. The ebb card moves out, flow card comes in. So card number 6 is flow. Card number 7 is the self. So that's sort of just me in my present state, might be sort of my outlook on things overall. This can often relate to the attitude card that's in the more traditional spread. So card number 7 is self, me. Card number 8 is other. So basically anything outside of me, could be environmental, could be another person or situation. So something outside of myself that is influencing me. And I often look at cards 7 and 8 closely together, just because it's almost like the first house and the 7th house. It's like that self and other kind of dynamic. So I often look at those two kind of closely together. So card 7 is self, card 8 is other. Card number 9 is what I call inner work. This is something that I can maybe consider a project or some kind of something to kind of sink my teeth into that will maybe help me be a bit of a better person at the end of the day. Card number 10 at the top of the staff is what I call the signpost. This is sort of my little nudge from the universe card that maybe when I see something or encounter something in my life that reminds me of the energy of this card, it could be like a nudge from the universe saying, you know, you're doing okay, kind of thing. And then last but not least, on the bottom, card number 11, I call the wild card. That is the bottom of the deck, and that is as it sounds. It's a wild card. It could relate to any of the cards in the spread, or maybe just a certain group, or maybe none of them at all, and it's entirely its own thing. Or maybe it will relate to my anchor card, or something else that I've done, like as far as divination goes. So it's a sort of an anything goes kind of card, but it's still meaningful, if that makes sense. So that is my modified Celtic Cross that I have been doing this year, and it's been pretty profound. I have to say, I invite you to try this if you would like. So now we'll get back to the video, and you'll see me lay the cards down.
This deck is so wee because it's a mini that I like to overhand it more than like a regular shuffle. It just feels kind of more natural to do it that way. Okay, so, but I will cut the same way. And then I'll take the middle left, right, and I draw right from the top. I am now going to lay the spread down. And I'll put this one down here, and I will flip that over at the end. Start with card 1, which is the essence. So just sort of the overall kind of feel for this quarter. 9 of Wands. This imagery is very different. It's not very people-y. So if we look at these turtles, they're all kind of scrambling away from the seagull just to get away. So there might be just sort of that energy of feeling like I am maybe just constantly facing one obstacle after the other. And just sort of how I deal with that. I'm not going to go into the guidebook too terribly much. This is, when I do this, it's just sort of my first initial thought. So for quarter 2, the challenge could be sort of positive or negative, depending on how it is framed. But something that will maybe keep me on my toes a little bit. Another 9. 9 of Cups. Okay. So maybe I'm being another 9. Okay. So there's that like penultimate step before being done with a cycle for both the essence and the challenge. But the 9 of Cups is, I associate gratitude strongly with the 9 of Cups. So maybe I'm just going to be challenged this quarter to be grateful and to maybe find that emotional fulfillment for myself. Like, even if I feel like I'm not worthy of it or I don't deserve it, just kind of keep myself in check with that. So, okay, 2 9s to start. Interesting. All right, so card number 3 is the support card. So something I have in my life that is maybe helping me out a little bit. Embodiment of Swords. So the so the embodiment is the King. Okay. The King of Swords is very important to me. It was the first tarot card I ever drew from my very first deck. And King of Swords has big time protector energy for me. So that protector energy might be supporting me this quarter. Like if I feel like I need to draw on that, it will be there. I actually really like that in that position. I love that there's a butterfly. The quartz in this deck are different. So there's inspiration is the page, I believe. Action is the knight. Spirit is the queen. And embodiment is the king. So I love that I have the king for that position. Okay, so that is support. Card number 4 is the ebb card. So energy that is kind of moving out, but it could still have a bit of an influence, but maybe just not as much. So let's see what I get here. Spirit of Pentacles. So that's the Queen. Okay. I really feel this has to do with like mother energy, and that applies to me right now in multiple different contexts. And for that to be in the ebb position as far as moving out, maybe some things around that involve letting some things go. And yeah, so I'm gonna sit with that later. So far I have 2 9s, a king, and a queen. Card number 5 is the reach card. So something maybe to work toward or obtain. 4 of Swords. Okay. 4 of Swords. Isn't that so great? And 4 of Swords is my meditation card. Like mental, mental structure, just sort of finding that inner framework of calm, and P4s have a calm energy for me typically as well. And this figure is seated in like a meditation position. So working toward or obtaining more consistency in my meditation practice. That's what I immediately get from that. And there's a singing bowl and bee. So this deck is so lovely. I really like it a lot. Card number 6 is the flow card. So it's essentially the opposite of the ebb card. It's energy that is coming in, making its presence known. Embodiment of Pentacles. Okay, so I have the Queen and the King. Very interesting. So there's a letting go here and a bringing in here. So it's like this is going to not another level, well, maybe a little bit, but it's just going to be different. So that King of Pentacles, that the kings are air of their suit for me. So that's the air of earth. So it's that logic and analytical thinking and just sort of that what we might think of as left-brained processes within the realm of earth. So work, home life, the body, money, resources, time, all those things. So this is interesting. And I have 2 kings. Okay. So that's the cross part. Now I will go to, I love that this deck is so tiny because I can lay out 11 cards and it all fits in the frame. Card number 7 is what I call the self card. So I think this, in traditional Celtic Cross, this might be like an attitude card. 2 of Wands. Okay, so I was just talking about how I felt with that create card that I had for June, that I was in that 2 of Wands energy, sort of creating behind the scenes. And that's here in the self. Just sort of my overall outlook. Okay, so that's going to continue for me. It looks like maybe a little bit. That's where I am at. Yes, absolutely. So that's card 7. Card number 8 is other. So this could be environment, other people, just something outside of me that could be influential. 5 of Swords. Okay. So 5 of Swords is my card for the idea of cognitive dissonance. When you have that mental tension, it's like you feel like maybe you might need to change your mind, but you've had this belief for a while and that would conflict with that belief. And are you going to be a hypocrite? And, so on and so forth. So, and it's kind of, it's a mental disruptor. So in my environment, what is disrupting me mentally? Oh boy. That's a whole thing. Okay. So the 5 of Swords for environment. I feel like the essence, the 9 of Wands and the 5 of Swords, I kind of feel like there's a connection there. And like you have a trophy, like you've won something, but it's like it's caused all of these fissures kind of in here. So it's like that's the theme of you've won, but at what cost kind of going on that we see in the RWS often. Okay. Yeah, this deck. And I love this because 2 of Wands is my inner vision card. So it's like you're kind of, this is around you, but you're honing in on that. Yeah. This deck is fabulous. I love it. Okay, so that's card 8, environment. Card number 9 is my inner work card. So this is something to kind of sink my teeth into a little bit. For my inner work card for quarter 2 was the Wheel of Fortune, and that was a thing, let me tell you. Okay, so what do I got here? 7 of Wands. Oh, so interesting. This was my 7 of Wands was my foundation card for quarter 2, and I use the Way Home Tarot for quarter 2, and the 7 of Wands in that deck has 7 like sort of torches and with a path and a dark background, and I mentioned that it had sort of an initiatory feel to me, and I do feel like I was sort of initiated into a few different things, not like a group officially or anything like that, but more internally as far as these are directions you could go in. And I have it here for inner work. Okay. Okay. And we've got sharks. Interesting. This deck is just fantastic. It's so good. Okay. Last card for the staff is card 10. So this is what I call my signpost. So it's sort of a little, this is like my nudge from the universe card, that if I see something maybe related to the imagery or the energy, it just might be that this is a sign for you kind of thing. This is often the outcome card, but outcome just doesn't work for me. And in a spread like this, that is like broad time based, not situation based. So I just reframe that a little bit. So let's see what I get for the signpost. Ace of Wands. Oh, I love getting aces. I got the Ace of Cups in my quarter 2 reading, and I mentioned how much I love getting aces just because it's like there's a freshness and a newness and an excitement. And whenever I see any of those cards that have that one energy, so aces, the Magician, the Wheel, the Sun, even the Page to an extent, or a 10, I get kind of excited just because that feels like it's something new. Okay. So if I feel internally like I'm getting those sort of intuitive, inspirational hits, I can just maybe roll with those a little bit more than I have been. Okay, so that is the cross and the staff. So that would be like a traditional Celtic cross, but I have the bottom card, which is my wild card, which can relate to any of these or none of these, and maybe it will hold its own, or it could make some other, might even connect with this or my other monthly cards. So we'll see. Oh, I'll talk about that in a minute. That just got me really excited. I'll tell a story about the King of Swords in a minute, but we'll do the wild card. So I'm just going to flip the whole deck over. Action of Pentacles. So that's the Knight. Knight of Pentacles is my favorite knight. I've mentioned that before. This is my slow burn card. So I feel that it's related to all of this, in that there's a lot here, but it's going to take time, like here with this connection and with this and maybe the 7. Yeah. So this is all just going to take some time, and it's okay to take my time. I don't have to rush through anything. I can go at my own pace, and it's okay. So when I do, that's my initial, this is how I feel about this whole thing. And so when I do this, that's kind of the process I go through. Maybe I'll do some more videos where I take some of the positions and go into the guidebook. I'm on summer break now, so I might have time to do that a little bit more. After I go through the guidebook and make some connections, I might come back and maybe talk about specific positions. But I do want to tell a story here. Okay. So this truth card, it says, I live my truth. Okay. When I pulled my King of Swords from my RWS deck, the very first card I ever pulled, I heard in my head immediately, it said, I will teach you to speak your truth. So truth is a big deal for me with this card. And look at the blue. Blue is clarity for me. There's a calmness and a tranquility and a clearness for me with blue. So I think, yeah, there's a connection there. And then there's a lot of blue here as well. with that inner work. So yeah, that's all kind of tying together. Ugh. Okay, so this is a lot to sink into. I have to say though, I am kind of happy that the devil didn't show up, and the devil was in my ebb position in quarter two, and it was in my flow position in quarter one. And the devil is also the card I drew on my birthday last year that I've been working with all year, and I'm kind of. It's not that I'm you know, it's not that I don't like the card because it's taught me a lot, but it's just it feels kind of refreshing to have some new energy kind of to work with a little bit. So, and the Chariot didn't show up as well, and that was another card that showed up in both my previous Celtic crosses, so that's interesting. But so yeah, so this is kind of how I go about this process, and maybe I'll come back and revisit it a little bit. So once again, the decks I used are for the Oracle. It was the Soul Coaching cards, the old edition. I've seen it for sale for like $40. The new edition is like 20, I think, on Hay House's website. And then for the tarot, it was the Tarot of Oneness Mini. Okay, so those are the decks that I used. Okay, today is July 1st when I'm filming this. I don't know if it will go up today. It will probably go up tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see how things go. But yeah, so that's a little reading. And when I do a reading for myself, I always invite people to take something for themselves if they feel it's relevant. So please, if anything you see here, anything I've said means something to you, take it for you. That's always my intention for when I do something like this. So yes, I think I will end that here. I have some stuff to do. I'm gonna go do that and maybe make some iced tea because it's warm today. So I hope everyone is doing well and your July is off to a good start. So that's it for this one. Until my next video, take care and be well.